So a couple notes before we get into the build guide. First off, this is probably one of my favorite builds of all time. It's a really smooth feeling, it has a lot of damage, it has a lot of survivability, and the synergies are just really nice, they work together well. The overall meta for this is pretty much non-existent, so the cost on it is like maybe 1C to start, maybe 10C at max. The league itself, 3.23, is going to be a little bit more skewed towards minions, so some of your support gems or your support unique items may be more expensive this league, but overall this is one of the most off meta but strong minion based builds out there, and it's just very much a pleasant play. So if you're looking for a late league farmer, or if you're looking for early league start, this is viable from level 60 on, and just something that I've played the last 6 or 7 leagues and something I've refined very well. So I hope you enjoy, and let's just jump into the guide. So the first thing to note about this build is that it's incredibly easy to set up. The staff is not a 6-link staff, it's a 6-socket staff. Unique items perfectly link the unique skill in them to all the sockets in the staff or the axe or the whatever. So if you get Nagahami's Flame, Soulwrest, Arcali's, dagger, whatever it may be, all of these have perfect links to the actual sockets in them without having to link them. So unlike a normal skill setup where you had to have a 4-link or a 5-link or a 6-link to get any movement out of that skill, here you just need sockets, which means this is one of the cheapest ones to get a 6-socket, I'm air quoting here, 6-socket setup for a league start, because really all you need is 350 jewelers, and you need to do a little bit of map progression to go get that craft off of a map completion, and you're off to the races. You're going to get a end league level staff with maybe 3 or 4C investment. So that's a really great bonus to this, especially at league start. So let's talk about how this build works. This is probably one of the more pleasant builds I play minion wise because of the automations and how synergistic they feel between the defenses and offenses. And this normally revolves around the cyclone and castle channeling setup I'm running here. I normally do a bone offering and desecrate, but you can also do a flesh offering here. You're just not going to get any benefits from the flesh offering with your necromancer ascendancy. However, if you're running this as a guardian, you probably could do flesh offering because you're going to be a little bit damage starved. I mean, not horribly, but you're going to have less damage than you're going to have as a necromancer, and you're not going to get that block option for the ascendancy with the necromancer. So pick and choose what you like to run. This part about this is that with the desecrate, the bone offering, the cyclone, and the castle channeling is going to reduce some damage if you get the ascendant versions, or rather if you get the alternate qualities now. You're going to get phasing, or a phasing like effect from cycloning through mobs, which means you're not going to get body blocked. When you're hitting things, when you're cycloning through them, you can apply a cold debuff or physical debuff or poison or whatever it may be, exposure, depending on what you have on your gloves. You're also doing a minion skill with the bone offering or flesh offering, which is going to pump your damage because of the nodes you're going to take on the tree, or maybe some of the nodes you're going to have on the clusters. The other piece is that the block is applied to you. I think I already said this, but the block is applied to you because the ascendancy nodes if you're doing necromancer, so you're taking less damage. You're also then, because you're blocking more often, getting more life regen, mana regen, because again, more of the ascendancy nodes, or rather the nodes on the tree. So just cycloning in general not only summons your spectres, but also just keeps the whole build feeling nice. And the next thing is to say is you can convocate while you're cycloning too, so you're not really having to wait to do this. You're really doing a button plus. You're not really doing 2 button builds, you're doing a button plus a button. So the overall, just the feel of this is you're moving through the map almost quicker than you would expect with any minion build, and I think just because of that, it doesn't feel unpleasant. It feels almost like totems, but the totems move with you. So those are just my general thoughts about the mechanics and how the build feels. I personally will, put a gold star next to Cyclone. However, you can, if you're doing, say, an elemental version and you're doing bossing, you can do Arcanist Brand and a Wave of Conviction to do some alternate elemental damage. applications, which will help with elemental equilibriums, and this all goes into the build guide. So if you haven't looked at that already, there is a physical, poison, and cold variant. The physical variant is for early league, the poison is for a convert to mid league, or whenever you have more currencies coming out of the physical variant. It doesn't cost a lot to change it over, you just need to have a couple unique items, a Darkness Enthroned and a couple good Ghastly Eye Jewels for poison, and you get, close to 100% poison chance, and then that will carry you for a while until you convert to cold, or a different minion build, or whatever you may want. There's a ton of minion builds out there this league, so it may be worth not just playing this the whole league. I think that there's probably things in this league that we're not going to get outside of it, so it's worth trying new things. Let's talk about the damage really quick. The damage here is pretty decent. It's going to be between 1 to 30 million DPS depending on the variant or the investment that you're going to use. There are physical, poison, and cold versions of this. They're all in the Path to Building guide, so if you want to get that, it's in the description of the video. The physical variant is going to get you around 1 to 2 million DPS, and that's going to be your early league variant. It's going to give you the most bang for your buck when you're, just kind of cash starved. The poison variant is probably your league week 1, 2, or 3. And actually, I like playing the poison variant the whole league. I think it feels the best of all of them for the actual investment. It's going to give you maybe 3 to 5 million DPS. And then lastly, you're going to have the cold convert version. And I think the cold convert version can get around 10 to 30 million DPS for maybe, say, that many divines, maybe a little bit more. The only issue with the cold convert version is that you're going to need all 6 sockets for damage modifications, as opposed to the physical and the poison variant, which you really only need 4 for damage modifications, and then the 5th and 6th sockets for the physical and poison variants are lesser multiple projectile and projectile speed, which are really great for mapping, which I kind of designed the physical and poisons to be more mapping focused, but you definitely could do poison variants. But if you're really going for bossing, like say destructive play, I would suggest you look more towards the cold variant. You're probably going to look at maybe 10 divine to start the cold variant because of just some of the unique items and the level of investment you're going to need in gems and in the Ghastly Eye Jewels. Lastly, let's talk about the build guide. There are 4 main sections. There's a leveling section, a physical variant, a poison variant, and a cold variant. I've tagged every section with its own predefined sets. So if you want to see a predefined physical tree or a cold tree, it's all in there. Same thing with items and skills. The configurations are all preset as well, so your numbers are going to look correct. If you have questions about this, we also have a notes section, which is a little bit thin right now, but in later league variants for 3.23, once I've played this a little bit and I know more about it in this league, I will update that. So there's a bunch of information in the build guide itself. And if you do have more questions than that, you can definitely leave them in the comments below. But the build guide itself is just like every other build guide out there. It's pretty straightforward. There's not many gotchas in there. There's no real crazy priced uniques in there. There's no real crazy priced rares in there. It's pretty straightforward. So if you go ahead and download that and Path of Building and play around with it for a couple minutes, you'll probably get what the design is and you'll understand where everything is going. As a general bit of information here, I will be playing this in 3.23 and publishing updates. So if you're thinking about playing this and are not sure if there's going to be enough league support, I definitely will be supporting this build and league starting it as well. So without any further ado, I hope you have a great day. Hope you have an enjoyable league start, and best of luck to all of you.